So a bit of satire on India's award-winning So Sorry series, irking persons in China, including certainly the editor-in-chief of the Global Times. Sushant, you wanted to say something. You were raising your hand. Go ahead.
Look, I think, as far as satire goes, So Sorry takes digs at Indian politicians, including the Prime Minister and the Home Minister and everybody else. Now, the Chinese can't handle political humor, satire. That's their problem, number one. Number two, I think the Chinese system, the Chinese rulers are so insecure. Do you know Winnie the Pooh is banned in China? You can't have Winnie the Pooh cartoons because apparently there is some resemblance between the Chinese president and Winnie the Pooh. There was this cartoon of the Chinese president and Barack Obama walking together, and somebody juxtaposed it against one of the Winnie the Pooh cartoons. And suddenly Winnie the Pooh as a cartoon series is banned in China. Now, what does that tell you about? I don't think it has anything to do with Chinese culture. I think it has something to do with the insecurity of the Chinese ruling party, of the Chinese, the cabal which rules China. Because frankly speaking, if you go by what culture is, I think there are remarkable similarities between Indian and Chinese culture. In our daily lives, the way we interact with each other, with our parents, with our friends, the way we invite our guests, the deities we worship, all of it, there are remarkable similarities. So for them to say that, our cultures are very different, the cultures are the same, but you have a really messed up political system where there is this party, this clique of people which actually brutalizes its own people, which stifles dissent, which actually carries out genocide against people, especially in some of the fringe areas like Xinjiang and others, in Tibet, for example. And then they say that, look, don't say anything because, you don't understand us.
Great point,
frankly speaking, we will not understand you if you're going to be doing what you are doing. If you have this bunch of people who are ruling over you and who carry out these kind of massacres, and, suddenly you have this great man, the great helmsman Mao, who killed, how many people did he kill? Some millions of people.
Let's get Einar Tangen to respond to that. Einar Tangen, this is not about Chinese culture. I mean, that's an easy sort of defense. This is about the insecurity of the Chinese leadership. Don't put this on the Chinese people and Chinese culture. It is about the leadership and the government.
Well, quite frankly, I disagree with you. And, this idea that somehow disrespecting the Chinese people is good for relations, you can have that opinion. I don't think it works. Now, I remember when Modi was going to China, and there was a number of shows, including yours, that was talking about they must respect India. They must respect Modi. He's our leader. We will not stand for any disrespect. And all I see at this point is respect of Chinese culture, the Chinese leadership. It's interesting. It's always easier.
There's no disrespect of Chinese culture.
Other people, but
there is no disrespect of Chinese culture. I know.
Now, in terms of, listen. I mean, what do you know of Chinese culture? When were you last here? How many years did you spend here? How much have you studied? Do you know the language? What if somebody from China came to India and started leveling the same kind of broad generalities, making caricatures of Indians and saying, oh, Indians don't understand this and that, they're not cultured.
You've sacrificed the Chinese people to protect the insecurities of the Chinese leadership. That's 11-year-old logic.
If you want to talk about sacrifice,
it's ironic.
It's
ironic that you're talking about that.
Kashmir. How many people have died
now
in
you're going to just
Kashmir
jump
over
between
the last
topics.
3 years?
That's jumping topics. You can talk about a lot.
I don't know what Xinjiang had to do with the Global Times.
I talked about Chinese culture, and you asked me how many times I've been to China. That shows you're slipping. Okay.
Kashmir.
I want to. This is not a debate about Kashmir. This is not a debate about Kashmir. Let me bring in Lieutenant General.
Why are you bringing in Xinjiang?
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Talk about Kashmir. Let's talk about Kashmir.
Sushant, respond. Then I want to bring in General Jaswal. He's been waiting.
Very quickly.
Quick
somebody
point.
who claims to be an American, but actually behaving like an advocate of the Chinese, I'm quite surprised. Let's talk about Kashmir. If this guy doesn't know what has happened in Kashmir, what the kind of terrorism...
No, I'm asking you, what is happening? How many people have died in the last 3 years?
You've had your say, right? You've had your say. You want to talk about Kashmir? Let's talk about Kashmir. And although you claim that you are an American, but you are obviously an advocate for the Chinese, But let's talk. What have your puppets in Pakistan done?
You can always make personal attacks on me if you don't want to discuss the issue.
It's not a matter of personal attack. If
I
somebody calls
understand
you a
that.
Chinese, you
if
say
you don't
you're
have
an
something positive
if somebody
to say
calls you a
about
Chinese, you say you are an
your own point of view,
American.
attacking
And
the other
somebody calls
person,
you an
One at a
American,
time, one
you
at a
say
time.
you're a Chinese.
one way
Let
of
Sushant
doing it.
finish. Einar, I'll come to you.
Advocacy of the Chinese, right? And when you talk about Kashmir, you're basically talking and doing advocacy of the Chinese. So let's talk about it. What have the Pakistanis done? Do you know how many people have died in Kashmir and how many of them have been killed by the terrorists in Kashmir? Now, if you don't have those figures, I don't think you should talk about Kashmir.